So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and today I want to talk about the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 16 Pro. Which should you buy in 2025? Now that I've had this iPhone 16 Pro a while, it actually has become my main phone. But I want to talk about, like, if this is the phone, which phone you should get between these two. You might be getting ready to purchase one for the summer coming up. You might be looking for used models. You might be considering a 16 Pro now that your 15 Pro maybe got damaged, or even there's a lot of scenarios. You might just want to upgrade from this and want to know, is it worth it? Should I do it? I finally got enough to go ahead and get this one. That's the aim of this video. So first, we're going to dive deep into the design and build quality. Now, first off, I do have to state that I really enjoyed how the 15 Pro was super light and thin. This phone was 187 grams. And I actually am not enjoying that the iPhone 16 Pro got heavier. However, it does pay off in one area we'll talk about later. But the iPhone 16 Pro did get a little bit bigger and heavier. So it's no longer that sleek, light feel of the iPhone 15 Pro. So if you find yourself wanting a more pocketable, lighter phone, I do think you'll appreciate the 15 Pro a little bit more. Both of them do employ the titanium frames, titanium builds. So they're both extremely gorgeous when it comes to the build quality. They do not pick up any fingerprints or anything like that. They both do have action buttons as well, and they both have always on display. And they're both IP68 rated. Neither of them do have SIM card slots, so I don't like that. But the iPhone 15 Pro definitely struck me as a very smooth, thin, light iPhone. Whereas the 14 Pro that came before it was kind of clunky. Now you can see we do have a 5G antenna. Over here, it's kind of built into the frame, and we just have a camera control button now, which is a great area to go ahead and place that. That's been pretty useful for me. So overall, I gotta say, from a design perspective, they're not very, very different, but the iPhone 15 Pro definitely, to me, is my preferred choice when it comes to the holding, the ergonomics. But I do like how this 16 Pro has much thinner bezels, razor thin have you, and over the months I just really like how they stretched it without making the phone way bigger. So this is one of the best attributes of the newer 16 Pro, is that you have a bigger screen without having a bigger body of a phone, but it definitely comes at the cost of weight for the better battery life. Now, when it comes to display, we do have beautiful displays on both. Both of them are Super Retina XDR. However, let me say that you can definitely tell that the iPhone 16 Pro feels bigger. You can probably see it here as well. It's just a little bit more expansive, and I love the way they pulled this off, because they did it in a way where, again, not such a bigger phone, but a more expansive screen. This really reminds me closer to like one of the older XS Max phones that were like 6.5. This is definitely feeling closer to that, whereas this feels the standard. So if you like to consume a lot of media and you still want a more manageable size phone to hold, I do think you'll appreciate the display more on the iPhone 16 Pro. But you can see the actual quality is just absolutely superb. On both of them, they are OLED displays, and they do have very rich colors, and they also have True Tone, dark mode. They do have the customizable icons now, so they're pretty good there. You can see the dynamic island, though, over here on the 16 Pro, definitely maybe a little bit less noticeable because you have a little bit more screen size, but still these stick out compared to very tiny punch holes on phones like Samsung's. So they both hit the same brightness outputs, but the iPhone 16 Pro has slightly less pixel density just because that phone has a little bit more screen with basically the same resolution. It's only 1 pixel per inch though, so it's no big deal. Overall though, I would have to say, if you want to pick one of these, I would say go with the iPhone 16 Pro if you can handle a little bit more weight and a little bit bigger, but you don't want a Max or a Plus phone. It's perfect. If you kind of want that standard iPhone size, but you also want it sleek and light, I think you'll definitely appreciate the 15 Pro more than this phone over here on the right. It definitely still has that attribute over this one, or that specification over this one over here. And both of them do have always on display as well in ceramic shield glass. At the end of the day, when it comes down to the display quality, it's basically a draw in terms of actual quality of the panel, but it's more, I would say, worth it for the 16 Pro if you want a bigger phone. But again, You know, if you want a smaller phone, it's over here. It's just the bezels are slightly thicker, but they were already reduced before. And that's one of the things, though, that I think a lot of tech enthusiasts might enjoy about the 16 Pro is it just looks more modern with those nearly impossibly thin bezels. So it's kind of exciting to see where Apple's going to go in the future. Are they going to get a bezel-less iPhone? This kind of makes me excited for that potential future. So when it comes to the actual performance, though, of these phones, you can see we do have an A17 Pro chip over here. And then on the right, our Geekbench 6 will show we do have an A18 Pro chip on the right. Now, the difference is the clock speed, but both of them have 8 gigabytes of RAM, which allow both of them to have Apple Intelligence on both phones. I don't have the new Siri set up from my 15 Pro, but you get the drill. They both do have that feature available. Now, in actual real world performance, yes, you're going to get a higher benchmark on the 16 Pro, but nobody's going to be slowed down by this phone or even a 14 Pro, maybe not even a 13 Pro, just based on the way iOS runs. It's just super smooth. It works fantastic in most applications. And while you do get bugs with certain software updates, they usually get fixed before the month is up. So you don't have to deal with it too long before that gets fixed. They both also do have the same software experience, but generally just running along and just doing your day-to-day tasks is just not an issue at all for this phone. This is still a flagship phone over here. So if you did want to save yourself a few $100, the 15 Pro is a screaming deal right now comparatively to paying over $1,000 for the iPhone 16 Pro. So when the performance here, I do notice it's just a little bit snappier, but it's mostly felt in the gaming department. So I do like that. But generally, we're just going to see a little bit better performance for long-term, maybe Apple Intelligence and stuff like that. Other than that, the 16 Pro just shines for being just a great all-around package. It just does very well. But from a performance perspective, I would say the value proposition here, we were buying one of these, is probably better on the 15 Pro because you're paying less at this current time and it's still going to run great for a long time. The 16 Pro, it's a very fast phone. It's even faster, but over time, you know, that's when it probably will show more. So right now, the 15 Pro seems like a screaming deal, even though they don't sell it no more. So when it comes to upgrading, this is where the iPhone 15 Pro would fall short here in 2025. I would say the battery life. It's good, but all the phones in 2025 are seeming to boost the battery life. That's kind of like the thing of 2025, and the 16 Pro is no exception. This phone did come out in 2024, but it's set up to be a really good, strong battery life here in 2025 as well. This thing lasts and lasts and lasts, even for the smaller size. I will say it's substantially less than like the 16 Pro Max, but it's kind of like a 16 Plus. It lasts pretty much all day and then some, depending on your usage. But it's substantially better than the 15 Pro. So if you were choosing one of these and battery life was your substantial reason to upgrade or consider which one to buy, I would steer you really towards the 16 Pro. This has been one of the reasons why I could even consider this one on my main phone right now, is because it had good enough battery life for even me, a heavy user over here doing tech reviews and actually being able to try out the other larger phones. I didn't find it an issue, even on my 16 Pro. So that's a really good thing. Now, if you want to dive into the nitty gritty, you want to get down to the screen time numbers, it's a couple hours longer is what I see on this thing day to day. So if you do want a little bit more screen time, you'll definitely want this phone over here on the right. But if you just need an all day good battery life phone, the 15 Pro can still provide that to you. It's just not the best one in the lineup, but it's not horrible either. It's good average. So when it comes to the actual camera systems, you can see we do have a triple camera setup here, 48 megapixel wide, dual 12 megapixel and 12 megapixel ultra wide. Now this phone also, which I didn't like about this device, was when it came out, it cost $1,000. But this phone right here, this camera, while it was great, it didn't zoom as far as the 15 Pro Max. So 15X is where it topped out at. That didn't feel very top of the line for me, because why is the Max zooming further when I'm still paying near the same cost? So great cameras all around. You're still getting that pro level stuff, video quality, cinematic, slow motion. You know the drill with iPhone. But at the same time, they could have did the full zoom, but we don't have to sacrifice that here on the iPhone 16 Pro. And also, I've been growing fond of the camera control button on the 16 models. The 16 Pro is a really good sweet spot size. It feels good to hold, good to grip that camera control, and the shutter speeds are fast. If I go and zoom in, it's very nice. But we also have an ultra wide 48 megapixels. So if you want a high quality 48 megapixel ultra wide, this is the one to go with. And 5 times, so I can punch in zoom further, and 25. So I much prefer to recommend the 16 Pro if the Pro cameras are your thing. You got the camera control, you have the AI audio erasing features in this phone. You also have better mic array for audio, and you have much better zooming. So this is the phone to pick if you want the better camera system. This feels more like the older Pros, just with some few upgrades, but definitely still great. This is one just amazing though. This is the one for the pros. Like, get the 16 Pro. It's worth the extra money if you substantially use camera or you are going to heavily be making videos and content. You want the 16 Pro here. So let's talk about software. iOS as well, it's iOS. Everybody kind of knows it by now. I don't have any widgets on this phone right here because I reset the home screen recently. But customizing it, you can do the tinting icons, you can do all that stuff. We have the Apple Intelligence on board. Dark modes are nice. It's just a polished software. There's nothing else to say. We do have beta Apple Intelligence, so it definitely is still feeling behind some Pixel phones as well as some Samsung Galaxy phones with Galaxy AI. But overall, I gotta say that I enjoy its ecosystem, its polish, if you will. Yeah, the application animations are starting to be overtaken by Android, but the apps just work. And a lot of developers design very clean apps and they keep them updated very regularly on iOS. So there's still a lot to be said about iOS. It's still one of the most polished operating systems out there. Now for the iPhone 16 Pro, you're just running it on a more edgeless, bezel-less screen, but basically all the same stuff, same features. Of course, you're going to get the camera control, action buttons on both of them that's customizable. But at the end of the day, you're still operating within basically the same feature set. So there's no real difference here besides you might get an extra year of upgrade. You can see right here, we do have a little bit, looks like a bug though. So iOS can throw some bugs. It tinted the dock right here, but why are these in the regular dark mode? Those should be tinted as well. Let's see if we can correct that. So if I go automatic, it didn't correct it there. Let's go ahead and go dark, and it didn't correct it there. So let's go back to light mode. Now it corrected it, and let's go back to dark. And we'll see what happens here. Customize, dark, and now those are in light mode. So you can see these are in dark mode. So you can see sometimes we still get bugs in iOS. I'm glad that happened on video because that's what I was just saying. It's not perfect. Sometimes you get bugs. Sometimes things don't work. It's not perfect, but now it's starting to work and shut me up. So overall though, I would say from the software perspective, it's zero difference. However, the 16 Pro for the long term is my pick just because if you want to be on this software for a super long time, 16 Pro has the power to get you that extra year of updates. So one of the areas that I really want to drive home on the 16 Pro and why it's worthy of an upgrade over the 15 Pro is the thermals. This phone runs a lot cooler than the iPhone 15 Pro. The heat stays down even under heavier extensive use. The 15 Pro gets throttled back a bit more, so this is the less high-end phone of the two. I go like this because it's still high-end, but it's the less high-end performer of the two. The focus on performance is a little bit stronger here for the 16 Pro. However, the 8 Elite phones from some competitors are now faster than the 16 Pro. However, the 16 Pro has better thermals and better speed than the 15 Pro. So this one is quite a bit behind a lot of the newer 16s with the 16 Pro and Pro Max with the thermals. This one could sustain a little bit better performance, but it's not like huge. I think this is the year they need to really start focusing on taking the lead once again in the area of performance because they are starting to get overtaken by the competition. So I'm excited to see where they go with the 17s this year. But if you were choosing between these two, you'll want this for the better heat management. Nobody wants to hold a phone that's making their hand warm. That happens a little too often for me on the 15 Pro. So one of the areas I would recommend looking at a yesteryear iPhone 15 Pro if you're besides these trying to decide between these two is you can get more storage for less money than the 16 Pro. The 16 Pro starting at 128 gigs at $1,000 is a pretty high cost to pay for that low tier of storage. So I think they need to start going 256 at the base, especially considering we're doing 4K, we're doing cinematic video, 4K 120 recording, which is also something I didn't mention about this phone in the camera department. And the 4K 120 is something I didn't cover too much in the camera section. It's more of a niche thing for pros, but certain people want to play around with slow-mo. But the storage is going to fill up fast on these devices, especially these 128 gig models if you're going long term. So 15 Pro, you can find this used with 256 512 for around the price, or if not most of the time, less than the 16 Pro. So if you're looking for more storage, this is going to be a better deal. This one is actually noticeable. The phone call quality is about the same. Like, it's not substantially different. It's the reception strength. I've been getting way better reception strength on the iPhone 16 Pro, but I also noticed faster 5G and more reliable 5G performance on the 16 Pro. The 15 Pro, for some reason, just always cut out on me in more like garage areas. The bar strength for 5G was good, but not 16 Pro good. So people don't really cover this too much, but I like to mention it because it's been a great reliable connectivity performer. Although it might get worse or better when they go C1, C2. Apple's trying to put their own chips when it comes to this phone call stuff and this 5G performance. They want to control the whole experience. So we'll see if that actually does better than the Qualcomm in here. But definitely this has been pretty fantastic. It really has. So if you were wondering like which one to buy here in 2025, as somebody who owns both and has upgraded and now has made the 16 Pro my main phone, I will say I probably would still recommend the 15 Pro for the better price to value ratio. I do think you can get this thing secondhand and you're getting almost everything the 16 Pro is offering with more storage at less money. However, if you gotta be on the top of the line and you want the total package, you want better battery life, better thermals, a more modern design, and you're really in the tech, I think you'll really like the 16 Pro more. I still feel like it's more of a, definitely, yeah, it's the modern phone, but it feels like these upgrades are just like a luxury. Like I don't need them. It's just I wanted them because I'm into tech and I want to cover these phones. I love reviewing these products, and that's why I have this one. But it's no way changing my life. You get what I'm saying? So the 15 Pro to me wins in terms of at the price you can get it now as a value. It's just a better value right now to me. It also runs Apple Intelligence. It's essentially the same type of product. It doesn't make it a better phone though. So if we were to say which one is the better phone, that's the 16 Pro bar none. But that's how I feel about these two after all this time using the 16 Pro. And I hope this helped you decide which one to go with here in 2025. We're headed into summer. You might want to pick up a phone. You may want to be upgrading the 16 Pro. Maybe this helped you change your mind or maybe convinced you to go ahead and do so. And if you found all this information helpful, entertaining, informing in this video and helped you out in any way, comment down below. Also, if you have any of these phones, consider sharing your experience. People are always wondering in the community and down below some questions, and sometimes you have an experience I don't have. You can share with them as well. Help each other out. Have a blast. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.